All right, good evening, everybody. It is December 27th, 2022. I hope you are all doing well. We're gonna head downstairs, but tonight we are reporting live from the 18th floor here, right outside Saks Fifth Avenue. It was a crazy and wild day in the market. We're gonna talk about that and more on tonight's live stream, but I really wanna focus on a couple things. So obviously the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index came out today. Home prices did fall for the fourth consecutive month in a row, about 0.5% in October. Now, on a year-over-year basis, home prices, increased 9.2%. However, every single month we've been seeing very, very steep deceleration. And this sort of data should corroborate with what we've been seeing in the sales transaction volume, especially as it relates to existing home sales. So the National Association of Realtors about 2 weeks ago reported the existing home sales report declined for the 10th straight month in a row, and now we are just starting to see prices roll over. So we're going to talk about that report in depth. We are also going to talk about the bond market. Okay, oftentimes on the live stream, you'll hear me talk about, if you really want to know where the stock market's going to go, you probably shouldn't even bother looking at the stock market. You should look at the driver, which is the bond market, the debt market, which we're going to talk about today. 10-year U.S. Treasury yield, 10-year U.S. Treasury bond, I should say, selling off again. That yield is almost at 4%, 3.843%, back above the 50-day moving average. Look, we'll see if we can have a 4% 10-year before the end of the year. Only 3 trading days left, so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the junk market as well, okay? One of the ETFs that I look at to track the junk market or the junk bond market is ticker symbol JNK. We'll take a look at that. And also TLT, we'll take a look at TLT as well. And we'll talk about Tesla falling off a cliff, drastic price declines, down about 11% again today. We've been talking about Tesla, and we've been very bearish on it here on Walks on Wall Street for quite a while. Now, if you are following my Twitter, if you follow at Walks Wall Street, we've had price targets on Tesla of about $85. There's a huge gap on Tesla at about $85. So if you want to check us out on Twitter, you can follow at Walks Wall Street. So I'll go ahead and close up the laptop here, everybody. We're going to get started on the walk, and I hope all of you are well. So just allow me a minute, and we will get started here. It's going to be another cold night. But before we start, I got to show you guys something pretty cool. Now, if you look out the window, check this out. You can actually see right here, this is the very top of the St. Patrick's Cathedral. And if you look even further uptown, this building right here is the Steinway building, Stairway to Heaven building. Pretty cool. But what's cooler than all of that, my friends, if you look directly down here, that is actually the Rockefeller Center ice skating rink. You can actually see people skating around. And this is the famous Saks Fifth Avenue. So pretty cool. We have a pretty nice view out here. But for now, let's head on down to the street level. I see FredX. What's up, FredX? Good to see you as always. Al J. Sparks Carnival. What's up, guys? Wendy England, LL. Good to see you. Let us head out. This is a unique Wework. It's sort of like a 2-story. All right. This is the common area. Here's our kitchen. And now we will head downstairs, team. Hey, Austin City Limits, what's up? Good to see you. Kevin, welcome. Dr. Longies, FredX, Rafed. Now, the internet is probably going to go out in the elevator, so I will see you guys on the ground floor. A lot to talk about tonight. A lot of interesting things. All right, lobby we go. It's going to be another cold night. I cannot believe we're still in this winter polar vortex, but we'll have to make do. No, I didn't see that. Hey, how's it going? All right, team, let's head out. Oh yeah, it's cold. Oh yeah, it is cold. All right, team, we're standing right outside of Saks Fifth Avenue. Now, remember everybody was making that joke on the live stream about the Saks Fifth Avenue Christmas sort of display playing the same song over and over again? Well, I was in the office here at the Weworks, and I hear this every 10 minutes, and I could see how people kind of go crazy from it, but it's not too bad. Let's see who we have in the chat. I see Laura M, good to see you. D is here, what's up? Welcome, Steph UH. Vinny Castellano, Julia M, LL is here, welcome. Sparks Carnival says, did you guys see the military was called in to Buffalo? No, I didn't see that. But I know that Buffalo is dealing with just a horror show in terms of the snow. I really don't know how they do it. I give them so much credit. Now, I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal today. It's so tragic. I think 30 people passed away from the storm. I couldn't even believe it. It's just pretty eye-opening how dangerous these storms can be. So definitely my heart goes out to everybody in Buffalo. It's horrible. It's horrible, man. It's insane. So here we have East 49th Street, 5th Avenue. Hey, Tucson is here, welcome. Then here you have 30 Rock. Now, I was so surprised about how many tourists were out today. It seems like nobody went to work. It seems like everybody's taking the rest of the year off. Quite literally. You guys can see across the street just how many tourists there are. But tonight on the live stream, just to give everybody a quick recap of what we're going to be talking about. Now, we're back in the swing of things. It was a full trading day today on Wall Street. Markets were mixed, but a lot of the average sort of stocks that we've been talking about that we'd assumed would continue to sell off are doing just that. I mean, take a look at Tesla getting absolutely bombed, down 11% today. You know, I have a feeling that a lot of fund managers are continuing to dump the stock for tax loss selling into the end of the year. And you've noticed a lot of the stocks that were down today, guys, were these very frothy, high beta, no earnings, growth style companies. Now, one of the ETFs that I follow to sort of track the health of the growth stock sector is the Cathie Wood ARK Innovative ETF, ticker symbol ARKK, and that thing hit another 52-week low yet again. So what usually happens is the biggest losers of the year in terms of the individual stocks really start to pick up and accelerate to the downside towards the end of the year for tax loss harvesting. So your Teslas of the world, a lot of the Pelotons, the Zooms, absolutely getting hammered today. It was brutal to watch. Hey, Exploring with Alan says, hey Tom, good to see you. Jonathan Richards is here, says hello Tom. Sparks Carnival says Palantir was down 5%. Yeah, I mean, talk about another one of these overhyped stocks. Everybody, I remember, about a year ago on the channel, we would get, 4 or 5 people a night asking about this particular company, Palantir, and it doesn't earn any money, very overvalued. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate email from that, but I think this is one of the reasons why we tend to stress really, really hard on the channel, is to first understand the overall market environment you are operating in, right? That is the first step to building a systematic framework for investing, okay? You have to take a systematic approach to investing, not just buying random individual stocks. St. Patrick's Cathedral. Now, if you rewind the video for all of you who are just joining us, we actually had a really, really unique, really beautiful view of St. Patrick's Cathedral from the Wework office. You could actually see the top, I would say, third portion of St. Patrick's, as well as the Steinway building on Billionaires Row. But a lot of people out tonight, a lot of tourists. It's actually good news, right? You want to see people out and about enjoying themselves after the Christmas holiday. And it seems as if, look, I mean, guys, only 3 trading days left of the year. Might as well take off and enjoy it with your family and friends. It seems like that's what a lot of people here are doing. So more power to them. Dallas F is here, says, hey, good to see you. Michael Joseph is here. What's up? Says Tom Palantir got turned into a meme stock like AMC and GME. Yeah, so Michael Joseph, another a good point, right? I think, you guys know I very, very seldom even follow those type of stocks. I think it's a big waste of time and a big drainage of my energy. But oftentimes I'll get emails about them, and I posted some charts on Twitter. If you follow at Walks Wall Street on Twitter, these things are about to blow wide open even more severely than they already have. I wouldn't be surprised if we see very, very low single digits for some of those meme stocks here. Hey, Edward Adams is here. Says, good evening, everybody. What's up, Edward? Nicole Grant, good to see you. I see Diego says, hey, Tom, do you ever have a rest? Happy holidays. Yeah, we're taking a rest right now. I was working all day, and now it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy the stream with all the gang here. So thank you for asking. Good to see you, Diego. Amar says, hey, Tom, when are you headed back to Miami? Good question. The honest answer is I don't know. I think it's probably going to be second week of January, if I had to guess, depending on the needs of my clients. Ryan Beck says SoFi was a meme stock too. I think it actually is decent. Yeah, so Ryan Beck, interesting you bring that up. So that is probably the one ticker symbol that I get emailed about the most. And I didn't even know what the company did up until probably about a month ago. And I actually did a deep dive into the company. Well, I shouldn't say a deep dive, but I looked into it one weekend, and I think I posted about it on Twitter. And I was like, how could anybody be bullish on this thing? It's obviously going to zero. So a little bit weird how people were bullish on that company. Yeah, it's probably going to go bankrupt. Using People is here. What's up? Good to see you. Austin City Limits. I got to give you guys a quick little bit of, not really a behind the scenes look, but a little bit of a cool fact about this building. I believe this is called the Olympic Tower, 641 Fifth Avenue. Now, I think the first 22 floors of the building are all office space, but the remaining top floors, I mean, if you guys look this building up on Zillow or apartments.com, check out the just breathtaking views of the apartments. So if you think about where it's located, right across the street from St. Patrick's, and since St. Patrick's covers about an entire city block, and it's a relatively small building, you have unobstructed views of all of the most important buildings in New York, such as the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, and One World Trade Center. So if you have an apartment right here at the Olympic Tower, chances are you have an unobstructed view of some of the greatest buildings in the entire city. It's fantastic. You guys should check it out. Hey, Edward Adams, Tom, are you staying on 5th to go to MoMA tonight, perhaps? Yeah, maybe we'll take a little bit of a walk around there. I think that would be cool. I haven't been to MoMA in a long time, so I think it'd be awesome to check it out. I see my friend Ethan G is here. Says, hey, Tom, how are you? Good to see you, Ethan. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you had a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Jay says, Tom, are you renting your place in Miami over the holidays? I am. So I do have tenants in there right now. And look, things have been working out pretty good. Now, I think I said this before. For anybody out there who is, well, let's just say maybe you're running an Airbnb business or doing shorter term rentals. Oh, it looks like the light show is going on again. Speaking of the Empire State Building, if you look directly below the American flag here, you could actually see a little bit of the Empire State Building lit up in the classic Christmas green and red color. Maybe we'll see that a little bit later. But this is what I'd say, and you know, obviously when you're new to anything, this is my first investment property, you make a lot of mistakes, right? It's like a prerequisite. Hopefully you can learn from other people so you don't make too many mistakes. But I'll give you guys my biggest mistake that I've made. And hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes and not repeat the same. But again, it's going to be very opinionated. So maybe my strategy won't work for you guys and it'll work better for some other people. But anyway, we're headed up 5th Avenue. So here's what I noticed. In my opinion, in my personal opinion. So when I first started to Airbnb the property, here's what I did, and it was a big mistake in my view. I started to Airbnb for 1 or 2 nights, 3 nights, 5 nights, a handful of nights in a row. And yeah, I mean, I got bookings without an issue, but it was very time consuming. So I switched to more longer term rentals, right? I would say about 20 days plus is my minimum now. And it takes me just as much time and just as much effort to host somebody for a month than it did to host people for a weekend. Now, again, this is just my personal opinion. This is an observation from myself. And here's another thing that I'll say, not to judge anybody, but look, I mean, I've experienced tenants come through in and out of the house. The people who are renting, in my experience, by the way, so this is anecdotal, in my experience, the people who are renting for 20 plus days tend to be a little bit more responsible. And they tend to be families, or they tend to be workers that are able to work remotely maybe for 1 month out of the year. So that's been my experience. So if I had to, maybe give a tip what didn't work for me, I wouldn't do like a weekend in a row. It tends to be, not saying that these are bad people, it's just, then you have to clean the house every weekend, right? But if you have a person there for a month, I'm only paying, a cleaning person or spending time myself once a month to clean it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'll stop rambling on. Hey, Cooking is here, says, hey guys, good to see you. BMST Group, thank you so much for being here. Dusty Cole, welcome. Will M. Carol Reeves says, good evening, Tom. Elliot Wave Reviews says, Tom, where do you think one should apply if they wanted to give tech sales a try? And how much should they expect to earn on year one if they are an average salesperson? This is Elliot Wave Review. So this is what I would say. And first, I think it's appropriate, in order for me to answer your question in the best way possible, I think you need to understand the hierarchy of a sales org or a sales organization at a tech company. Let's just talk about like software or telecom companies for a moment. So an entry-level job in tech sales is usually something called a business development representative or a sales development representative, SDR or BDR. Now, these are entry-level positions, and they're something called non-closer. So essentially what you are doing is you're making cold calls, you're sending out prospecting emails to clients to set appointments for the account executives. So the account executives are in the closer client-facing role, right? So generally speaking, right, and it's going to vary depending on what market you're in. Usually markets like New York City and Silicon Valley tend to pay a little bit more just due to the cost of living. This is St. Thomas Church across the street. I'll try to give you guys a quick view at that. But you can probably expect like a $65,000 to $70,000 base salary for an SDR or a BDR at a major tech or telecom company. And then it's usually like a 20% commission / bonus at the end of the year. Now, the goal is to get into a closer role, such as an account executive, where your base salary is probably, $95,000 to $100,000, maybe $110,000, depending on where you are. And the commission structure or your on-target earnings, usually how it works is it's a 60-40 structure. So 60% of your comp is your basic salary, right? And 40% of your compensation at 100% on-target earnings is the commission, right? But if you do 100%, 200%, 300%, you could obviously hit more accelerators. So it really just depends. If you're working at a very big tech company that's more established, you'll probably make less, but it'll look good on your resume. But there's some startups out there where you can come in as an account executive and blow $250,000 easy. But at the end of the day, I would say the top goal is to try to break into enterprise sales or an enterprise account executive where you're selling into Fortune 500, Fortune 50, and strategic sales. And these tend to be very long, drawn-out sales cycles. Sales cycles or deal flow could be anywhere from sometimes 12 to 24 months. They're very, very complex sales, which does take a lot of experience. And, it usually takes, 5 to 7 years on the job to reach enterprise level. But if I had to do it again, I would focus on cybersecurity. I don't really want to drag this answer out too long. But if I had to do everything all over again, I think I would double down and triple down on cybersecurity sales. I would look at companies like Palo Alto Networks, Fortinet, and the like. West 54th Street, 5th Avenue. You guys notice all the traffic coming down 5th Avenue. For a Tuesday, this is a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic. Hey, Penelope is here. Good to see you. Hawaii is joining us. Twitch ASMR. Good to see you. LL is here. Welcome. Tavo says, say hi to Teresa from Argentina. Welcome to all of our viewers from Argentina, and congratulations on your World Cup win. Congratulations. Shadowship is here. Welcome. BMST Group says longer term rental is a giving, but there are pros and cons, and everything can upcharge the shorter term rental is due to the volume and pass that fee on to the renter, says BMST. Yeah, that sounds good. Newless is Tom, renting to medical workers. They usually take 8 to 13 week contracts and you get paid by the agency. I've never heard about that, but I'd be open to it. I'd be open to it for sure. Hey, we have the FDNY in the chat, the Papa Smurf OG. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Good to see you. Oh, you had to, very cool, awesome. Papa Smurf OG, good to see you. Now, here's something I'd say about, software sales. I would say it takes a little bit more, not super heavy on the hard skills, but you do have to sort of know what you're talking about, especially at the enterprise level, because there's a lot of integration, right? Chances are, for example, if you're selling an HR software, right, like a Workday, well, you're going to need to have, open APIs to integrate with all different types of software within the organization. Maybe you need to integrate it with your CRM, your cybersecurity software. So, you don't need to be super technical, but the best salespeople that I know are absolute experts in their field. They do have hard skills and soft skills. But the good thing about being in or working for a tech company or a telecom company, when you're talking about a sales role, is you learn a lot because, well, at least in my instance, on my sales team, we actually had a dedicated engineer, or they're called an SE, solutions engineer, or a sales engineer. And these are certified real engineers that will actually teach you a lot of things, right? So oftentimes the job of a salesperson is to connect the customer with the right person that can give them the appropriate answer. And, you know, in some of the biggest deals I've closed, I've had to rely heavily on my sales engineer because maybe I wasn't as technical as I should have been. And that's when you bring in other teammates to help build trust and close the deal. This is the Peninsula Hotel across the street. I think there's a lot of traffic down Fifth Avenue because everybody's trying to get a last look at the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree before it goes away for the year. Yeah, Ren 1018 says, Tom, one tech company I love is ServiceNow. Yeah, I actually applied to ServiceNow to be an account executive. I didn't get the job, but I would have loved to work for Bill McDermott. Now, the CEO of ServiceNow is Bill McDermott. The ticker symbol is NOW. Fantastic, fantastic company. Really, really well respected. And an amazing CEO, an unbelievable leader in tech is Bill McDermott. Fantastic. I agree. Check out these horses across the way here. NABL says hello from Syria. Hey, good to see everybody from Syria. Fantastic. That's insane. We have viewers from Syria. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Will M. Good to see you. Isaac C says, what about pharmaceutical sales? Yeah, that could be very lucrative too. I just don't have any experience in pharmaceutical sales. I have some acquaintances who are in the industry, but they tend to hire more of I would say you really, really have to know what you're talking about. They tend to hire people with biology degrees, things like that, but I just don't have any experience. I wish I could provide more clarity on that, but I just don't really have any experience in pharmaceutical sales. Maybe there's some pharmaceutical sales reps in the chat who could chime in for us and let us know. All right, everybody, take a look at this. This is 432 Park Avenue once again. It actually feels kind of nice out. Now, we've been having weather in the teens and in the single digits, so it's good to finally warm up a little bit. But everybody, we do have to cover something, so we'll jump right into it. Today was a big day for economic data as it relates to the housing market, okay? So we're gonna cross the street by Harry Winston, but I want everybody, if you wanna follow along with us tonight, if you type !Case Shiller in the chat, I programmed the Nightbot to drop the S&P CoreLogic Case Shiller Home Price Index report, so you could actually follow along with us tonight in the chat. And even, you know, if you don't have time tonight, pull it up tomorrow, read through the report, really understand this stuff. And as I always recommend, even build your Excel models, right? Just update it every single month when this economic data comes out to help you stay on top of leading economic indicators, coincident economic indicators, and the like. So home prices actually fell, thank God, depending on who we're speaking to, for the fourth straight month in October. Now, on a month-over-month basis, home prices fell about 0.5%. On a year-over-year basis, home prices increased about 9.2%, okay? But what do we talk about on the live streams? This is, I just really quickly want to point out this building. This is the Louis Vuitton building. One of the most unique buildings here on Fifth Avenue, in my opinion. Very beautiful. And you can see the snowflake that is hung in between the intersection of 57th Street and 5th. Really nice view there. But on a year-over-year basis, we know that home prices did increase 9.2%. But think about the September number. Does anybody remember this time last month when we were talking about this same exact thing? Home prices increased 10.7% year over year in September, and in October they increased only 9.2%. So what are we seeing? We're seeing deceleration here, okay? And if you remember all the way back, I'm gonna say go back 6 months ago, we continued to see month over month numbers in terms of home prices increase, while at the same time, the National Association of Realtors were releasing home sales data that were in steep deceleration. And we said, well, one of the things we could do is look at the National Association of Realtors' existing home sales report as a leading economic indicator to home prices, okay? So this is why it is very critical to look at these leading economic indicators and update them in your Excel spreadsheets each month, because you'll actually be able to see the housing cycle in real time. I'm gonna quickly walk over here to show you guys the candy canes before they take them down. So notice this, okay, and let's see if we can notice a trend here. National Association of Realtors, 10 months in a row of home sales transactions declines, 10 months. But we are only starting to see 4 consecutive months of home price declines. So what we can draw a conclusion here is that as home sales transaction volume dries up, sooner or later, the sellers of these homes are going to say, you know what, my house is sitting on the market for longer than I had expected. I'm not seeing a lot of transactions, or I'm not seeing a lot of people walk through my home to tour it on the open house. I'm going to start to reduce my prices. So home sales, in terms of the volume of the transaction, always leads the price. So I think it's great, now that we've been doing this live stream for over a year, we can actually start to see the economic cycle play out, right? So as we think about building our fundamental systematic approach to investing, this is why we always start with the macro, or the top down, right? We want to understand what's going on in the global macro environment, hammer down into monetary policy, then hammer down into our secular individual ideas to generate our investment ideas. So I want to ask you guys, in your neck of the woods, have you noticed our prices coming down for single family homes? Are prices going up? And let us know in the chat what particular housing market you're in. I think it'd be interesting to know. I mean, I could tell you with certainty. I could speak for Miami-Dade County as well as Broward and Nassau and Suffolk. We are seeing some price declines for single family homes, but mainly in the apartment space, in my view. This is the beautiful Steinway building on Billionaires Row, 57th Street. And then this building is 157, one of my personal favorites, and behind that is the Central Park Tower. Hey, Techno Pink is here. What's up? Techno Pink is joining us from the Dominican Republic. He is our fellow management consultant at Deloitte. Good to see you. Richard Vogel says, Tom, prices on homes are dropping here in Suffolk County, New York. Okay, so you're way out east on Long Island. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? I think, based upon our audience and myself included, a lot of us are first-time home buyers, maybe second-time home buyers. So we are actually relieved that prices are normalizing and coming down a bit. But hey, Kevin Buffalo says, leveling off in Buffalo. Certainly not hearing OG bidding wars anymore. I think I have to turn off my Wi-Fi. Hold on. SBK Pilot 11 says, Tom, what is your projection for mortgage rates? It went down for a bit, but now they're creeping up. SBK Pilot, that's a very good question. And that actually leads us into a pretty good segue for exactly what we're going to be talking about next, which is the bond market. Now, to SBK Pilot 11's point, yes, it is true that even though we've been talking about the 30-year fixed rate mortgages increasing, okay, what about now? Are we good? All right, I think we'll repeat it. Let's see. All right, I think we're better now. So here's what I'd say. If you look at the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, it is correct that on a year-over-year basis, we're up about 100%. However, over the past couple months, mortgage rates have actually been coming down. However, what did everybody notice today as we've been looking at the bond market? Did anybody notice something very, very specific that was happening today? Well, if you didn't, I guess I'll just tell you. And the 10-year US Treasury, right, which is considered the benchmark. And if you want to know where the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is going, higher or lower, you can follow very closely the yield on the 10-year US Treasury. And today the bond market's actually sold off quite a bit, not only the US Treasury market, but the corporate bond market as well. I mean, the 10-year US Treasury is back above its 50-day moving average, yielding about 3.843% on the 10-year. So I think that it's going to go up. I think that 30-year fixed rate mortgages are going to go back to 7%, in my view. Hey, Chris, this evening, Tom. Hope you're having a great night. Thank you, Chris. Good to see you. Mike is here. Welcome, Mike. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that mortgages are going to decline? Or do you think that they're going to go up? Michael Joseph says bond sold off and yields up. Inversion is bigger. Yeah, the bond market's got hit today pretty hard. Okay, we are now officially in the main section of Billionaires Row here. Ryan Beck says 7.5% to 8%, then maybe another dip. Yeah, possibly. I think those are pretty good guesses. Now here is the Essex House, which is a very famous hotel here on Central Park South. And here you have Steinway Building. Look at the really nice bar here. This is another really nice hotel. I think this is a 4-star hotel here on Billionaires Row. Looks super warm and awesome in there. Wow, Michael Joseph says David Bowie lived in the penthouse at the Essex House for years. I didn't know that. Interesting. Sparks Carnival says China stocks had a very good day today, with the exception of NEO, obviously. Yeah, so a lot of the Chinese ADRs were getting a pretty good bid. You're correct. I can't believe there's only about 3 trading days left. Hey, Lynette Jackson, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome, Lynette. Trust you're well. Now here's the Russian tea room. How many viewers in the chat have ever been here or dined here? Really, really nice. Dallas F says, I'll never buy Chinese stocks. Yeah, it's a big concern for a lot of investors. And I think the biggest concern is the reliability of the financial reporting. Now, a lot of the Chinese companies do not have to live up to the strict standards that many other US companies do as it relates to the SEC. Now, this is an awesome view of Central Park Tower as well as 220 Central Park South. Really, really nice views here. And then here you have the Park Hyatt Hotel at 157, as well as the residences. Now, speaking of finance, I think William Ackman or Bill Ackman has a unit in 157. Also, I think Michael Dell may still have his unit here as well. But this building that we're looking at right now, guys, is the building that kicked off this crazy mega trend here called Billionaires Row. It all started right here with 157. Let's check out some of the prices on the Russian tea room. I've never been here before. So just for the appetizers, I'm looking at pickled vegetables. So you can come here and get pickled vegetables for 16 bucks. Let's look at some entrees. Somebody says, hey Tom, are you a fan of Jim Simons? I am. So there's a really good book that was written about Jim Simons. I think it's called The Man Who Cracked Wall Street. Now, that's a really interesting topic of conversation because it goes into quantitative trading. So there's a couple of, I would say, the big dogs on Wall Street that really corner the market as it relates to quantitative trading, quantitative hedge funds. One of which, most obviously, is Renaissance Technologies that is owned by Jim Simons. He actually started it out of a strip mall on Long Island after being a math teacher for many years. How crazy is that? He started it out of a strip mall on Long Island. So very, very humble beginnings. So Renaissance Technologies. Then you could probably think about Citadel Securities. The CEO and founder is Ken Griffin, who actually started that out of his college dorm room at Harvard. But before we go on, everybody, take a look. This is actually where they're going to drop the ball on New Year's, all the way down there at 1 Times Square. Really nice view here. You could take 7th Avenue all the way down into Times Square. Now, maybe as the stream progresses, we'll take a look at Times Square because they did just put the numerals back up for the ball drop that's going to be dropped on Sunday, I believe. But then the next one, I would really say 2 Sigma. So TWO and then Sigma is another quantitative hedge fund. And they tend to hire extremely, extremely smart individuals from the best schools with advanced degrees in mathematics, physics. Extremely, exceptionally smart individuals tend to work as quantitative researchers. Also, jump trading as well is another one. Here we have the Brooklyn Diner. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is joining us. Good to see you, Sunshine. Welcome. Otavo Mendez is here. Good to see you. Mike C. August Ice. Welcome. Con I Am. What's up? I know. Cammy G says, I'd rather watch the ball drop from all the way up here than instead of there. Yeah, I'm not really too big on crowds either. A little bit of road rage going on down here on Billionaires Row. Not good, not worth it. Terrible risk-reward ratio there. Never, never, never road rage. Hey, JPC says, anytime I feel Chinese stocks will explode after they beat the pandemic. Now, JPC, many people share your same thesis. Now, here's sort of the thesis on a lot of these Chinese ADRs, or American Depository Receipts, as we stand across from the Nordstrom Tower or Central Park Tower. Just get a grasp of how amazing and how ridiculously tall this building is, standing directly across from it. Unbelievably tall. Now, I would say the bull thesis for Chinese equities is that so many people are bearish on them, and they've been beaten down so much that nobody wants to touch them, which pretty much means that they may outperform, right? Now, my concern that everybody knows this, I've sort of spoken about it before with Chinese stocks, is the financial reporting. Can we trust a lot of the financial data that comes out of these Chinese companies? And the answer is, I would say probably not. And that really, really is an added risk, right? But we'll see. You know, we've been posting about this on Twitter as well, that, you know, a lot of these Chinese stocks have been acting well. Okay, we are on the corner of West 57th Street and Broadway. If you look all the way up Broadway, you will reach Columbus Circle, where you could see the Trump International Hotel and Tower. Now tonight, I actually want to take you guys on a little bit of a walk, not all the way up on the Upper West Side, but we're going to go as far as we can, right? We're going to go as far as we can. Maybe we'll take a look at Lincoln Center, and I'll show you another exclusive apartment building, which is 15 Central Park West. Yeah, Michael Joseph says people with physics PhDs designed the mortgage security algorithms that caused the financial crisis. Yeah, a lot of the collateralized debt obligations. Genius here says, greetings from Quebec, Tom. No snow. Yeah, that's one thing that's kind of crazy. We've been having all of this harsh, brutal, cold temperatures, but no snow. It's almost like it's cold for no reason. Does anybody sort of get that same drift? It's almost cold for no reason. Now, to sort of steer back on track here, the biggest piece of economic news, or the biggest piece of economic data that came out, obviously today, was the S&P Global CoreLogic Case-Shiller Index. Now, this is the fourth consecutive months where housing prices are rolling over. But does anybody want to take a guess at what particular market has been the weakest in the United States? So in the United States, if anybody could take a guess, what market has been the weakest in terms of price performance? Now, I think a lot of you guys are going to get it. I think it actually may be rather obvious. Mike C says Vegas. Close, Mike. Close. TY says Detroit. Nope. Jerry says soy milk market. Funny. Hilarious. It was actually San Francisco. A lot of good guesses, though. I think Vegas was the best guess we got. But San Francisco is really, really suffering the most. But in general, the West Coast is not doing well. In general. Yeah, D1SSH3R0 says lots of tech layoffs. Oh, look at all the skateboarders here. Nice. Now, I don't know the exact reason why. I don't think anybody does. But if I had to guess, this would be my guess. Why San Francisco and some markets of California have been performing quite poorly. I think the first thing is, if you think about San Francisco, if you think about places like Silicon Valley, their bread and butter was built, and massive wealth creation has been built off of tech companies, right? And what did we learn during the pandemic Well, one of the things we learned is that if you work for a tech company, chances are, right, assuming that maybe you are a software engineer, data scientist, something like that, you can probably work remotely, right? So why would you need to stay in Silicon Valley? Why would you need to stay in San Francisco where the rents are ridiculous and extremely, extremely high? Cost of living is through the roof. If you can do your job from, maybe somewhere in the Midwest, maybe somewhere on the East Coast, there's really not an anchor weight towards being there. So I think that has probably had the most material impact there because, look, if you have a lot of smart people, some of the smartest people, not only in the United States, but the entire world, come to Silicon Valley, come to San Francisco, come to other places in California to try to start businesses. But, the pandemic really showed us that we can pretty much do that from anywhere. I don't know, what do you guys think? Samantha R, what's up? Good to see you. ONY9, what's up? Nina says 100% agree. Here we have the Deutsche Bank towers here. And the Trump International Hotel. Now we are officially on Central Park South, one of my favorite places in all of New York City. You can see all the way to the east side of Manhattan from here. Hey Mustafa, welcome. Good to see you, Mustafa. Beautiful dog across the way here. JPC says, who's paying for all the empty office space? Well, I mean, that's one of my big concerns, right? And I think it's also a big concern here in New York that even though technically you guys may see as we're walking around here that you may say, hey, New York has recovered 100%. We're 100% back to normal from the pandemic. I would argue we're not, but not really necessarily in a bad way. And here's what I would say. From somebody that used to work, or still do, but even more so before the pandemic, would commute to Midtown Manhattan and work in an office building on 45th Street and Avenue of the Americas every day, I can tell you with absolute conclusivity that the transaction or the volume of people in Midtown during lunchtime, it's just, you can't even compare it. Okay, I mean, I remember coming down from my office, getting coffee with clients and coworkers, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Midtown is like a zoo. I mean, every coffee shop you go into, there's a line. Every single Chipotle, every single, Chopped, Sweetgreen, line out the door. It's not like that anymore. Maybe on some days, but it used to be like that every day. And I think that's just due to hybrid work. I really honestly do. I think it's just due to hybrid work environments. So to your point, if you're a startup company, why are you going to sign a long-term lease, 36 months to 40 months, when you could have your team working remote and maybe only bring them into the office a handful of times a month, and when you could book, a little office space in a Wework for $300? I just think it makes more sense. I don't know, we'll see. Michael Carey says, Tom, empty properties are a massive tax write-off as well. Interesting. Whoa, Deborah. Check this out, guys. I think this is a really interesting comment. I just lost it, though, because the streaming software we're using is, I would say 3 out of 10. So let me go ahead and try to find that comment. Deborah says, Tom, the MTA is cutting back subway service on Mondays and Fridays due to hybrid work. Isn't that crazy? Now, do you guys remember me saying that the days that are really dead in the city are Mondays and Fridays? Like, nobody comes to the office on Mondays. You know, it seems like everybody takes a long weekend or works from home. I didn't say that. Look at this, Trump International Hotel and Tower. On the right side, you have the tower where you could actually buy or rent an apartment in here. In the middle, you have the beautiful Trump Hotel. I'm not sure if anybody's ever stayed here. It's really, really nice place. And then here, you have the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is also another really, really nice place. But I mean, guys, I want to hear from you. I mean, are you guys working remotely? Are you working in a hybrid environment? Or are you back to the office full time? Nina says, agreed again, Tom. No need to be at the office when remotely works and productivity is a priority. Wow, Ryan Beck says, Tom, I'm still 100% remote. Hey, Warrior says, I'm literally right next to you. Awesome. Thanks for watching us. Now, this building is called 15 Central Park West. And there's been many, many high-profile people on Wall Street that have that have lived in this building, including the former CEO of the mega investment bank, Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein. I think he still does have a unit in here, 15 Central Park West. Really, really beautiful, extremely nice, and very quiet too. You're right on Central Park. Central Park is your backyard. It's fantastic. We'll make a right here just so you guys can see the awning of 15 Central Park West. I'm trying to navigate the chat. I can barely see it. Hey, Ratfink, thank you so much for your $5 donation. Very kind of you. Thank you so much for the support this year. It helps the streams keep going on, and it helps us keep creating interesting content. Now here it is, the entrance of 15 Central Park West. They really don't like filming here, so I'm gonna continue to walk here. Liz Hatch says, hey Tom, what is your heating bill? Let me think. I think I actually just paid it. I wouldn't call it a heating bill. let's just say electric bill. Are you talking about in Florida or here in New York? Now, oh yes, that brings me to, I wanted to ask you guys, now, is something wrong? I don't want to say anything. I mean, obviously I'm not going to say anything, but my electric bill is like $36 in Florida. I feel like that's really low. I feel like they're calculating it completely wrong. Hey, Lizzie Hatch, thank you so much. Wow, your electric bill, your heating bill is $600? Holy crap. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it, Lizzie. Here's another shot at Billionaires Row. Yeah, Dusty Cole says it's super low, right? But here's the thing. I never blast the AC. I almost never run the AC. But I'm assuming the Airbnb guests run the AC, right? Yeah, $600 seems high. I think they are. I think both of our bills are wrong. I think my bill is wrong, and I think your bill is wrong. But I'm obviously not going to say anything. Lee says, no, Tom, you're just used to New York pricing. I mean, maybe. Now, okay, here's some context, and not to sort of go too far off the beaten path, but I think this is an interesting conversation. We've been talking about real estate. So I used to have a studio apartment, you guys know. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I got to get some water. I used to have a studio apartment not far away from here. And I'm talking about, like, this thing was a literal box. Very nice, but it was a box. It was like you're living in a box. And my electric bill was very similar to what it is for, I think, 1,200 square foot home. Maybe a little bit larger than that. Anyway, who knows? Who knows? The property taxes are killing me. If they get you one place, they'll get you another. This used to be the Best Buy, totally vacant. They're actually selling some of the furniture items here. Hey, War Walker, what's up? Austin City Limits is Tom. Mine is $100 per month. Use firewood and swamp cooler for heat and cool. Interesting. Dave is here, says, I can say the training and mentoring aspect suffers greatly with work from home. As much as I like work from home, some days it's better to come to the office. Very good point. Who said that? Was that Dave? Apologies, everybody. This streaming software is so horrible. If I'm missing the chats, I greatly apologize. But Dave makes a good point. I've always said, if you're really, really young and just starting out in your career, you should be living and breathing the office air 24/7, 365. Okay? Once you're more established in your career and you're a little bit older, fine, do the whole work from home thing. But in my opinion, if you're 20 years old just coming out of college, you don't need to relax, okay? You need to go to war. And you gotta be in the office, you gotta be networking, you gotta be building your network. That's what you need to be doing. You don't need to be sitting on your couch working from home. You gotta be, a little bit aggressive here and going into the office and being in attack mode. And that may sound cringy, it may sound corny, but look, the most important thing you could do in your 20s is to build your network, okay? Because God forbid you lose your job, something happens. Your network are the people who are going to help you get a new job, all right? So the more relationships you can build, the more people that you can learn from, the better. So I agree with Dave. I mean, look, if you're new, chances are you need to be trained. You don't know a lot of things. So I would be in the office all the time learning from the best people, the top performers, and the smartest people in the office. Now, this is the Smith. They have multiple locations in New York, but I think this is my favorite one. It is very conveniently located right across the street from the beautiful, the gorgeous Lincoln Center, right here. Notice how well kept and very, very organized the outdoor dining is. And it looks like there's heaters too, so if you're worried about being cold while dining outside, it actually looks kind of warm in there with the heaters. They have about 3 to 4 space heaters in there. It looks pretty good. Maybe we could take a walk, not through the dining area, but maybe just on the outside so you guys could see. There's about 3 restaurants down here. And it looks quite nice, actually. Andreas is absolutely, I find it unfortunate I don't get to help / train junior designers as much as seniors helped me when I was a junior. Yeah, I mean, the only reason why, like literally the only reason why I think I've been successful, right? Like, I've always hit my quota and everything in sales is because when I was very young, I would look on the leaderboard and whoever was the top guy or girl in the office, I would spend all of my time with them and try to add value so they could help me succeed just like they have. I don't think I would be successful in sales if I started my career during the pandemic. I honestly don't. I think I would have flunked out, failed. So I feel for people who started their careers during the pandemic. It's tough. It's tough. Now, this is an Italian restaurant that looks very nice. Hey, Nicholas Duras. Hey, Tom, did you get my email? I did. I did get your email. Thank you for your email. Hey, Bagels and Walks says this is my spot. Really? Nice. All right, Bagels and Walk. Since this is your spot, give us a go-to menu item. What's your go-to menu item right here? Any recommendations if we go here? It looks kind of cool. Now, I'll take you guys across the street to Lincoln Center. Yeah, Dusty Cole, you're right. And you can't say bagels. We're not ordering any bagels there. Something else. All right, Broadway 64th Street. Let's cross. And you guys will be able to see Lincoln Center right here. CVGR 1470 says, hey, Tom, I have a new subscriber. Do you only do Manhattan and Florida? Yeah. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Walks on Wall Street. And yes, we mainly do the live streams after work around 8:30 p.m., 8:30 New York time, between New York City and Miami. Sabrina Fair says dry martinis, 2 olives. Pretty nice Christmas tree across the street from a Hotel Empire as well. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We go live at 8:30 p.m. New York time between New York City and Miami, discussing the financial markets. We'd love to have you along for the ride as we look all the way up Columbus Avenue. You know what? I think we'll actually have a little bit of time. I want to take you guys up Columbus. So let's do that, actually. Let's do that. We're going to do a quick lap around Lincoln Center, but I want to take you guys, I really, really want to show you guys the Dakota before the holidays are over. So I think we may go up there tonight. I think we're going to have time. We're making good time. So we're blowing through the topics. We're doing good. We're right on schedule. So maybe we'll be able to head up to the Dakota. Here we are, Lincoln Center. But before I forget, I did want to mention something to everybody. Now, I would say the number one, I'm just going to call it mistake for lack of a better descriptive word, that a lot of people make when they're trying to think about the stock market and look where stocks are going to go, is they always only focus on the stock, okay? But we need to understand what are the drivers. And here's how I explain it, and here's how it was explained to me by some, I would say, I guess you could say mentors of mine, right? Some people who have been very successful in the hedge fund business. They said, if you want to know, Tom, where the stock market's going to go, generally, you got to watch the debt market, because the stock market is a mere derivative of the bond market. So the stock market derives its value from the debt market, and essentially the bond market is pretty much the price of money, right? So on this stream, we've talked about not only the U.S. Treasury market, right? So the sovereign bond market, government bond market, but we also have talked about corporate debt too. So there's another old saying on Wall Street that the junk usually moves first. And we've been seeing some really interesting action in the junk bond market here. And you could either go to tradingview.com. Oh, you know what? Hold that thought. I never noticed this, and I swear to you, I never noticed that this was an actual balcony here. I never knew that people could stand on this. You see these people up here? I didn't know that. It actually looks really, really nice. I always just thought it was just a place where they had these sort of monuments. I've never seen people up there before. Pretty unique spot. Anyway, I get distracted so easy. But what I was saying is interesting movement in the junk bond market. So if you go to tradingview.com or really any place where you look at charts, look at ticker symbol JNK, okay? So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the junk bond market, this is essentially non-investment grade debt. So in the corporate bond market, there's pretty much two categories. You could have investment grade debt and non-investment grade debt, or high yield. Look at everybody dressed up all nice. This is really cool. There must be an opera or a show just coming out. I love this staircase here. Really beautiful. But anyway, so you have investment grade debt, which would be, your AAA, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you'll have your junk bonds or your non-investment grade debt, which includes your triple C's or the bottom of the barrel high yield. And essentially how that works, the way the corporate bond market is priced, it's priced via spreads above a benchmark, right? So the main benchmark we use here in the United States is the 10-year US Treasury yield. So the reason why, in general, right, government bonds, US Treasuries yield lower than corporate bonds is because of the default risk is much lower, right? The United States government has never defaulted on its debt. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible, right? Because I get the emails. Trust me, I read all the emails. Some people are like, Tom, you can't say that, government bonds, US Treasuries is totally risk-free. And I get that, but technically it's risk-free, right? Because we've never defaulted on our debt. But I do understand that there's a risk there. But what you'll notice is the 10-year US Treasury yield is the benchmark for which pretty much all other debt-based instruments are priced. So right now, we had a big sell-off in the debt market. 10-year US Treasury yield is up 3.836%, I think we ended. And you'll notice a lot of the junk bonds are getting blasted. And I want to give it one specific example of a short thesis that we've actually been working on a little bit here on the channel, not doing a super big deep dive, but that is Coinbase. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to give you guys an up close and personal look here at the beautiful fountain at Lincoln Center. Wow, that's really peaceful there. I'm surprised they still have the Lincoln Center fountain up because, most years they actually turn it off for the winter. They actually winterize it. It's really nice. Love Lincoln Center. Editor Informal says it was probably the intermission. I really got to see a show here. Now, I guess you can consider a technicality. I have seen a show. Has any New Yorkers in the chat, or maybe somebody who's visited New York during the summer, they actually have an opera displayed outside and they set up hundreds of chairs. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it is hundreds. But they set up hundreds of sort of like folding chairs out here and people can come and sort of watch the opera outside. It's an unbelievable experience. Ryan Beck says, if you look where Apple was pre-COVID, we have a lot of room to go down. I think you're right. I think you're right. Now, Ryan Beck makes a good point. So did anybody see Ryan Beck's comment? He was talking about Apple. Now, I'll tell you why this is ultra critical to be paying very, very close attention to Apple here. Now, again, there's an old saying on Wall Street that the generals are the last to get shot. Okay? And if you've been following Walks in Wall Street, the channel, we've been having this conversation almost to the point of ad nauseum, right? We've been talking about once the Federal Reserve starts to raise interest rates, the first stocks to go are the very high beta, no earnings, high revenue multiple growth stocks. Those fell. Then it's the mid caps. And then what happens? Then the market comes after the big mega cap tech. So let's sort of go down the list here. So let's talk about the generals who've been shot already. Well, I mean, Amazon, talk about total obliteration. Tesla, I mean, I don't even want to talk about that. And then Google has gotten whacked. But Apple has not really, we haven't really seen that waterfall sell-off as we've seen with many of the others. Now, Apple, if you think about how the S&P 500 is structured, the S&P 500 is a market capitalization weighted index. So what that means is the companies with the largest market cap, which would be Apple, makes up the majority of the weighting in the index. So even though the S&P 500 is down, ooh, yikes. Even though the S&P 500 is down double digits for the year, if Apple breaks below its key level, and I sort of wrote down its key level here. I actually posted this on Twitter, so if you guys want to see this at any time, 24/7, 365, just follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter. I tend to post a lot of charts and research there. But I'm looking at this key level of 129. I think if we break that, it's clean sailing all the way to the 200-week moving average, which is about at 114. And I think the reason why this stock hasn't cracked yet is because institutions have really been hiding out in Apple. It has great earnings, it is, a blue chip stock, and there's really nowhere else for these institutions to go, so they're hiding out in these quality names. But once there's no more buyers, I think it's all downhill, and that may be the catalyst that puts a bottom in the market. And here we have the Eyewitness News, Channel 7. All right, I'll tell you guys a quick story about this intersection, and then we got to keep walking up. So this was during my college days. I actually went to college not this building, but the one behind it. And I was walking up here like 2 o'clock in the morning with my buddy. I don't know, we were just hanging out. And I see the most crazy accident ever. It's almost like you would see it in a James Bond movie. There was a yellow taxi cab. It's coming flying down here. And it was one of those like SUV taxis. He's coming flying down. The light is just changing to yellow to red on this side. There's a car that is coming through this intersection. They hit each other at like a crazy moment. The car does a flip and lands on the roof. And so me and my friend run over to the yellow taxi cab, and the cab driver is sitting like on the windshield, right? And he's just like in shock. He doesn't know what the hell happened. So we call the FDNY. They check the guy out. Thank God he was okay. And they actually had to call a tow truck to rip the car to get it sitting face up again. It was the most ridiculous thing I have ever witnessed. Actually, it's not the most ridiculous thing. The most ridiculous thing I've ever witnessed in this city was caught on live stream. Now, this is live with Kelly and Ryan. I've never watched this show, but maybe some of you do. It's right here. But tonight we are going to be walking directly up to 72nd Street. And I want to show you all the Dakota building, which is very famous here in New York. Yeah, I know. It was on Thanksgiving Day. I think that's probably the most wild, maybe because it involved illegal activity. This one was just, an accident. People were driving too fast. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're in New York long enough, you're going to see some crazy stuff, especially if you're walking the streets as much as I do. I want to be GMOs, so Apple did a 4-for-1 split in August 2022. Does that mean they could easily go to pre-COVID prices? 100%, yeah, for sure. Yep. Hey, Jay Trader's here. What's up, Jay? Yeah, JTJ says, hey, Tom, good to see the streets are cleaned up. So JTJ makes a good point. Now, notice as we walk around the Upper West Side. Yesterday, we walked around the Upper East Side. It's a lot cleaner up here because it tends to be a lot more residential. And I'd also like to direct your attention again. Notice the transition in architecture from Billionaires Row to here. These are all the original buildings. Some are brownstone, some are the railroad buildings here on the Upper West Side. More residential, very quiet, very quaint blocks. Really, really big architectural contrast. And it's quite beautiful here too. I mean, as you guys know, this is actually my favorite neighborhood, a little bit further up between 79th Street and 86th. It's actually my favorite section in all of New York City. Mike ceases is the audio cutting in and out. It may be my mic. I apologize. All right, 69th Street, just a little bit more to go. So here's another really good example, everybody. So notice right here, right, all the original buildings, beautiful fire escapes. But as you head over to West End Avenue, you see they're developing these ultra luxury high rises. So you can sort of see how the brand new ultra luxury buildings are encroaching on the Upper West Side. I don't know. I kind of like the older architecture a little bit better. If I had to be honest. What about you guys? Hey, Ryan Iglesias says, hey, today is a holiday in Canada. Happy holidays for all of our Canadians out there. Good to see you, Ryan. Thanks for joining us on the walk on the Upper West Side, as opposed to last night's stream on the Upper East. Now, does anybody notice also another big difference about the Upper West and the Upper East? Now, it's expensive here. I'm not going to say it's not expensive, but it's not as, and I'm not being insulting or anything, it's not as like gaudy, right? Is that a good word to use? Up here, it's more like a little bit laid back. Like the Upper East Side, I feel, I have to put on a suit to walk around. Here, it's, it's laid back. There's some nice shops, but everything tends to be more family friendly, not as stiff. I don't know, that's the impression that I've gotten on the Upper West Side. Yeah, Susanna Q4 is like more relaxed. Michael Joseph is more, less stiff. It's still beautiful, but now here's two good Italian places. This one is called Parm. Now, does anybody remember from our walks through Soho? I think there's a Parm location on the corner. I think it may be Prince Street. Am I right on that, everybody? Am I thinking of the correct street? I think it may be on the corner of Prince. But Parm is pretty good. Yeah, David Armstrong says like the east side is very posh. And look, I like the Upper East Side. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just sort of not really my style, I guess. Now, I'm going to try to pick the best block to show you guys because you're going to see the original sort of brownstone style buildings that are my favorite here in New York. Hey, Dr. Long, this is the Islanders beat the Penguins. Very nice. John says, good morning, Tom from the UK. Good morning, John. Thanks for joining us. Hope your day is off to a fantastic start. You know, there's been studies done, and, you know, maybe these are biased studies, I don't know, but if you start your day off with walks on Wall Street, you tend to have a little bit more dopamine, more energy. You get a big dopamine blast, and you actually tend to be more successful throughout the day too. Now, it could be biased, right? But I'm not going to argue it. Here's another really nice building. Everything is all white in contrast with the black outlines here. But I'm going to take you guys to my favorite part, which is the Dakota. And that is directly down here. Really beautiful building. You'll see the original, I think they're called oil lamps, right? The original oil lamps, maybe. I'll try to give you guys a shot of some of the buildings here. Yeah, fixed image, you're correct. You're absolutely right. So what is the actual way to describe the architecture of the Dakota? For maybe some of the architects in here, would you consider that Gothic style or no? Serious question about that. So this is the Dakota here. Would that be Gothic? So fixed image says it's Gothic. Oh, Neo-Gothic, says Fred X. Renaissance? I don't know, I'll have to Google it. Hey, DJ's reviewing under 2, says Tom, I'm watching the stream from Southeast Georgia. Good to see everybody from Georgia. Michael Joseph says Gothic Revival. I'm actually going to Google that when I get back on the train. So this is 72nd Street on the corner of Central Park West. And if you look directly across the street, this is arguably the most famous building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. This is the Dakota. Many of you might notice this building or know this building from John Lennon, one of the Beatles. Hey, caller in chat, thank you so much for the $10 donation. This is Tom, buckle up and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for your very kind support. I appreciate it very, very much. And I hope you have a fantastic new year as well. Thank you so much. Now I'm gonna walk a little bit further here so you guys could see the beautiful, I'm just gonna go with the oil lamps. I'm not even sure if that's what they're called, but they're beautiful nonetheless. Check this out. This is the main entrance of the Dakota. You can see the lamps right here. Wow, it looks beautiful, doesn't it? I think these are my favorite. And then here you have Central Park. This is I would say one of the main entrances of Central Park right here on 72nd Street in Central Park West. Yeah, I believe Yoko Ono still lives there. You're correct. Now, here's what I like the most. Just look at the attention to detail on the building. I think the light may be a little bit too low light, but look at all the dragon heads and everything. It looks absolutely gorgeous here. Now, I think these are the original wooden shutters too. Could you imagine how gorgeous some of the libraries must be in there? I mean, that's exactly my style. Olden type architecture, beautiful, everything is mahogany. And you can see just the crazy contrast from the older style, more Gothic, brownstone type buildings to a new, more modern New York. I mean, you have these mega tall, super skyscrapers. And to me, this is sort of how I think about it. It sort of leaves me optimistic for the future because it's sort of like this is where we've came from. And this is what is possible in the United States. Bigger, taller, better. Now, you may not like the architecture better, but we didn't have the technologies and the advancements to build these mega tall skyscrapers. And it's just a beacon of hope and a beacon of free markets. And I think to be able to wake up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, look at Billionaires Row and all of the amazing things in the city, just makes you thankful to live in America, the greatest country on earth, you know? So we're gonna walk across the street and I'll give you guys one last view or one last look of the Dakota. This is actually one of the more famous photographs if you've ever seen a photograph on Google Images or anything like that. Most of the photos are taken exactly right from this spot. Another building on Billionaires Row right here, 432 Park Avenue in the distance. Kind of crazy, we could see it all the way about 80 blocks north. So this is the main, I would say, most iconic view. It looks like the lights are on in the penthouse up there. Now, one of our viewers, Mark Davis, he is from Toronto, Canada. This is his favorite landmark here. Beautiful dogs. You know, since we're in Central Park, I might as well take you guys on a little bit of a walk towards the strawberry fields. Hey, Patricia Ivory, what's up? Good to see you, Patricia. Thank you for joining us. And this is Central Park. Beautiful, gorgeous Central Park at night. And here we enter strawberry fields. The short guy says, Tom, take us down to strawberry fields. Absolutely. Here we are right now. Now I'm going to stop talking for about a minute. Notice how quiet it is. Really peaceful here. But Sen9393, never talk to me like that again. So I will ban you from the channel. Do not talk to me like that ever again. I would never speak to you like that. So thank you for respecting my request of never speaking to me like that again. Appreciate it. So we'll walk a little bit further here, and I'll show you guys another view of Billionaires Row, and then we will head back to the Moynihan train station. Yeah, even you know, and I get it. Even if you're joking, though, it's like you guys have to realize, okay, I do these live streams, and they're literally live where people, you know my location at all times. So even if you joke about things like that, there are derelicts and scumbags and losers in the city that are opportunists. So I just prefer to keep those comments at a minimum, if at all, not at all. So. Because at the end of the day, you guys may not see it, but there's a lot of crazies out here, man. Like, you should, maybe someday I'll show you guys through my email box. And some of the stuff I get, you know, sort of makes me not want to do the streams ever again. But I think we've sort of grown the community where it's really fun and I enjoy it. So I'm not going to let some, you know, bad actors that try to antagonize me not do the streams. But very seldom are the things said on here, but more so I get it in my email. Like, just crazy people saying crazy stuff. So Oh, beautiful dog. I think that's maybe a puppy, yellow lab, something like that. All right, so we'll head back to Columbus, and then we'll head down. I think we're making good time. We do have to pick up the pace, though. Now, there are 3 trading days left in the year, which I can't believe. But I think, as Ryan Beck said earlier, Apple is the key to this market. To be honest, all the generals have really rolled over. Tesla, Alphabet, Microsoft, not as much, but it still was taking a massive beating. Look at Meta. I mean, talk about absolute destruction there. Amazon. And Apple has not really cracked the lows. Has not cracked the lows yet. So here's what I think. I think if we really get accelerating here to the downside, I think you're really going to see a lot of damage done to the indice. Now, I think as of recording this video, what's today? December 27th, maybe? 28th? Yeah, 27th. I think Apple makes up about 7% of the entire index. So could you imagine if, you have those days where, let's say Apple unwinds 5% in a day, the indice could be very possible down 3%. So I think it's something we really, really need to keep an eye on. Someone says, T-Mobile, any news about them? Well, here's what I would say about T-Mobile in comparison to a Verizon or an AT&T. I honestly think T-Mobile is better positioned to build out a robust 5G network. But here's what I'll say, and I'm speaking from a little bit of experience here, because I actually used to work with some of the largest TEMs. I'm not sure if anybody knows the acronym TEM, but it's called, Telecom Expense Managers. At some of the largest companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 50. And here's the problem with T-Mobile right now, where if T-Mobile solves this, I think it's honestly lights out for Verizon and AT&T, totally lights out. And it has to do with their management platform and their portals. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if you're Goldman Sachs, big investment bank, or you're a big multinational company like Caterpillar, MMM, 3M. If you have, chances are in the enterprise space, Verizon and AT&T have a very, very stronghold, or I would say a massive stronghold in strategic and enterprise, because they own a lot of the lucrative wireline business. So I'm not going to get too technical, but I'm sure we do have some, telecom and wireline experts here. But AT&T and Verizon, when they have their wireline business with these customers, they can usually use the very lucrative wireline profits to subsidize the wireless business, right? So they can give out, pretty much free or like 99-cent iPhones and very top-of-the-line devices to these large enterprise customers, and their ordering portals are so simple and so seamless, and they could actually have API integration into, an HRS system like Workday. So it's a very seamless experience. Now, T-Mobile is good for SMB, small to medium-sized business, but if you're talking to a massive multinational company and you expect them to operate on a retail platform, it's just not a reality. They need a robust platform for ordering, for managing devices in the field, for managing their network. If you talk about, like an SD-WAN or an MPLS system, and T-Mobile just doesn't have that. Now, they could build it. I think they're trying to outsource that through some of the channel partners, it's called, selling through the channel. But until they can have a robust sort of platform where you can order and manage your infrastructure, I don't really think they're going to make much headwind in the enterprise. But if you look at the market share, T-Mobile has tons of market share in retail. They are killing it in retail, which here's the interesting thing though. Look at the average ARPU of a retail account. It's actually more lucrative than an enterprise account, if you think about it, right? If I walk into a T-Mobile store and I want to get, what would you say is the basic amount for, one line on T-Mobile? Maybe like $100, $200. So your ARPU is high, right? And for those of you who don't know what ARPU stands for, it's your average price per user, average revenue per user. So retail, T-Mobile has extremely high stronghold, and it's higher ARPU and higher margins too. Because if you're a big business, Caterpillar could just say, well, AT&T, if you don't give me the price I want, I'm going to take 150,000 lines over to Verizon, right? So they pretty much have to cave in, and that really eats in gross margin. So there's actually higher margins in retail. So I think you're right. I think I agree with a lot of the comments here about, retail being a little bit more lucrative and T-Mobile having potentially a better shot. I agree. Griffin says, I thought Verizon was one of the most expensive. I think they still may be, right? Maybe AT&T is more expensive. Vivian says, Tom, T-Mobile 55 and over for 2 lines is $55. That's pretty good. It's actually really good. I think for 1 line on Verizon, I pay $130. Can you believe that? That's a ripoff, but I think I needed the highest internet package so we could do the live stream. JTJ says, Tom, AT&T is in bed with Fortune 20. Griffins is pretty sure Verizon and AT&T is close with pricing. Justin says, AT&T is more expensive, but I am happier with them. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, especially in more rural areas, I think AT&T and Verizon may work a little bit better. Now, but here's the real bull thesis on T-Mobile in my view. Now, think about what happened 2 years ago, right? We went through that huge merger with Sprint, which was really an acquisition. I always call it an acquisition. If you looked at the financials of Sprint, it was, it wasn't good. We'll just say that. But, through that merger, T-Mobile acquired a lot of mid-band spectrum. And it just so happens that if you want to build out a 5G network, you need a ton of mid-band spectrum. So I think that puts T-Mobile in a very, very good position, because now they don't really have to go to a lot of these spectrum auctions. Right? A lot of people don't know these carriers actually, if you want to add more spectrum, you have to go to the government and bid on the spectrum, right? It's called a spectrum auction. And that is extremely expensive, very expensive. So through that acquisition, T-Mobile acquired tons of very, very lucrative spectrum in that mid-band section from Sprint. So I think T-Mobile's in a pretty good position, honestly. Ed T says, Tom, I have been with T-Mobile service forever and I've never had a problem. Maybe I'll have to switch to T-Mobile now that we're talking about it. I don't know. I just don't know how they are in Manhattan. Anybody here have T-Mobile in Manhattan? Beth Collier says it's the internet services that are taking advantage. I don't pay for cable, of course. Sparks Carnival says, Tom, AT&T is trying to expand its new fiber networks for faster broadband, but they're likely late to the party. Friendship Lights is telling me I've had T-Mobile since 1999. Wow. BMS T Groups is telling me it's $90 for the Magenta 1 line. It's expensive. Now, that's actually not expensive because I'm thinking about what I pay for Verizon. It's like $130. I don't know. I'll have to do some digging into it. But look, I'm happy with Verizon. I mean, we buffer sometimes, but it's not like the end of the world. Now, here's what I've sort of said, right? Technology is deflationary. Now, I think I wrote a piece on this in college. Look at the rate plans for wireless internet in the 90s to now. It's on a one-way ticket to zero, right? So these technology, it's essentially a commodity, right? It's a commoditized industry. It's a very crowded industry. And the prices are going one way, and it's lower. Saffron says try Mint. Yeah, so Mint is what you call an MVNO. So I think a lot of people, I really want to try this place. It looks rather nice. Now, Mint Mobile is what you call an MVNO. And essentially what you do is they lease off of all the different carriers. So it's not good for live streaming. You would get your data throttled because I think that's why I need to stay with a single carrier. Like, look, it's $130. Price isn't the issue for me, but for some people that are very price conscious, yeah, MVNOs could be a really good solution for that. I think you have like Straight Talk Wireless, which is another one. Essentially, you're getting all of the major carriers, but it's just on a slower bandwidth. But yeah, it's a good conversation to have for sure. But just from my experience in being in tech sales, that is the biggest thing right now that is holding T-Mobile back from total domination. And it is in the enterprise and strategic space with their portals and their platforms. They lack API integration into other software platforms. And you just really can't, it's just not like it's not negotiable in the enterprise space. Doesn't a very famous actor actually own Mint Mobile? I'm blanking on his name. I don't know why I can't remember. Could anybody post in the chat how can I forget this guy's name? He's like one of the most famous actors ever. Who owns Mint Mobile? Ryan Reynolds. Thank you. You're right. Ryan Reynolds. I forgot. How can I forget? I think I get more Mint Mobile commercials than any other commercial on YouTube. Alex G. Cali, good to see you. So speaking about a very expensive furniture store, West Elm is extremely expensive. Oh, Hawaii, is that right? He owns a soccer team too? Nice. I didn't know that. Which soccer team? So that could, we just passed that furniture store, right? And, one of the ways you could build an idea generation for an investment is, what have we been talking about in relation to home sales, right? Existing home sales have been falling off a cliff. So think about all of the furniture store stocks, right? You could have looked at the leading indicators saying, hey, there's a lot less sales transactions for homes. And you could say, well, if a lot less people are buying homes and a lot less people are buying furniture, look at Wayfair stock, ticker symbol W. I think that just cracked a new 52-week low as well. Mint Mobile uses T-Mobile. Yeah, I think they'd run off of all the carriers, I think. So it's an MVNO. Sparks Carnival says, Tom, I like Shopify and the Trade Desk for 2023. Interesting. So Sparks Carnival, do you think we're going to see outperformance in growth in 2023? Or do you think it's going to continue to underperform? Michael Joseph says Reynolds has a 25% equity stake in Mint Mobile. That's a very, very big stake. Now, if I had to advise on that, it's a very, very hard and crowded business. Very, very hard and crowded business, but an exceptionally high churn as well. Now, a lot of the times, wireless companies, their acquisition costs for customers is high. It could be like 8 months. You know, I've heard stories where, especially on the business side, right? Let's talk about the business sales side. You know, they could spend like 8 months of revenue on a customer, sometimes 2 years if they get really aggressive. I don't think that's sustainable, especially now when interest rates are going up. Oh man, we've already been streaming for 2 hours. We have a long walk down. We'll have to put a pep in our step. Sam Morgano says I pay $40 for 36 gigabytes on Boost. I think Boost was one of those subsidiaries that had to be sold off when T-Mobile and Sprint merged. Is that correct? Because I think Boost Mobile was a Sprint company or a Sprint-owned company, if I remember correctly. All right, now we are here, Columbus Circle. We're headed back downtown. We'll quickly do the just stream recap for everybody that's just joining us. Now, if you type !Case Schiller in the chat, once again, !Case Schiller, I programmed the Nightbot to drop the link to the S&P CoreLogic Case Schiller Home Price Index for October. So this is the fourth consecutive month of price declines in the housing market. We've declined about 0.5% month over month, but on a year over year basis, prices are up 9.2%. That is deceleration from September's 10.7% year over year increase. So we're just starting to see this trajectory now of home prices starting to decline after 10 months of sales transaction volumes slowing. Now, we've reviewed this many times. First, you see sales transactions freeze, then you see the price declines. We're just beginning. We're just scratching the surface of the price declines 4 months in a row. We talked about how Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, and many of the West Coast markets are taking the majority of the hit in the housing market. Miami had the fastest home price growth in the country at 21% year over year growth. However, if we sort of compare this to other market cycles, usually what happens, I'm not saying this is going to happen again, but usually what happens is the markets that go up the most tend to correct the most once the market starts to unravel here. Here we are, 57th Street, Billionaires Row. Once again, you can see 432 Park Avenue. Then we talked about the bond market a little bit, specifically the junk market. If you look at ticker symbol JNK, you could also look at the charts I posted on my Twitter at Walks Wall Street. The bond market is flashing severe warning signs, very, very severe. So take a look at the junk bond market, take a look at the 10-year US Treasury that went up today. 10-year US Treasury bonds sold off very aggressively. I give those construction workers a lot of credit. Now, it's loud just walking past it, but could you imagine operating the jackhammer every day? That can't be good for your ears, even if you're wearing earplugs. The Cell Texas Tom jackhammers are brutal. You know, outside the Carnegie Diner and Cafe, it looks like they're building an entirely new walkway here. We're outside of Carnegie Hall. We're going to be banging a right and headed straight downtown to 34th Street. Yeah, walking Minnesota says Nvidia got hammered today, down something like $10 plus. Yeah, I mean, so walking Minnesota, great point, right? So usually what you see towards the end of the year, and we reviewed this, I think about 2 weeks ago when we were in Miami. I said, you know, watch for the stocks that have been pounded the most throughout the year, because those are the stocks that were obviously the losers in a lot of portfolios. So for tax loss harvesting and tax loss selling, those stocks are going to be dumped. You dump the losers so you can get a little bit of a tax write-off. And to walking Minnesota's point, a lot of these semiconductor stocks that were down double digits got hammered today. What else got hammered? Pretty much everything. Tesla, oh my God, down 12% today. We've been having a price target here of $85. Look at the steam coming out. And a lot of the growth stocks, right? Software as a service, SaaS stocks selling off quite aggressively. And tax loss selling could drive these things into the single digits. Oh, guys, we forgot to talk about, so we were talking about the corporate bond market, right? And I'll tell you guys something that I like to look at. I'm glad I just remembered this. This is the Park Central Hotel. It looks nice. I think they completely remodeled it too. So here, for example, right? I think about last week. We were having a conversation about Coinbase, right? And Coinbase is the cryptocurrency broker-dealer, right? sells Bitcoin. It's an exchange. And I said, I think I have an even bigger bear thesis on Coinbase because, hear me out, okay? So the FTX scandal happens, and a lot of people are very, very scared that crypto is not regulated, I'm gonna lose all my money. So why would anybody, assuming you wanted to get exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, any of the other ones, why would you go to Coinbase and buy cryptocurrencies when you can go to your broker dealer like Interactive Brokers and buy Bitcoin, and go to Fidelity and buy Bitcoin, when those specific exchanges do not have 100% gross exposure to the crypto markets, right? Coinbase, the only game in town with them is cryptocurrency exchange. So the tail risk there, right, would be the entire crypto market implodes even more than it already is, and people don't feel comfortable buying and selling things on Coinbase. They would just go to a reputable dealer like Interactive Brokers and Fidelity. And many people disagreed, which is fine, because that's actually good to disagree and have conversations about this. So I was like, let me think of a way where we can potentially gauge the fear in the market of Coinbase. Now, if you've been watching the channel, you already know how to do it, right? We don't look at the stock. We look at, you guessed it, the corporate debt, the bonds, okay? Guys, look at, I wrote down the maturities here too, because I was so shocked. Look at what a horror show this is, all right? So I want everybody to look, this is the Sheraton Hotel, the Sheraton, New York. Very nice hotel, the lobby is totally redone. Let's actually show you guys here, hold on. I've never stayed here, but beautiful inside. Now, take a look at the Coinbase bonds with the maturity of 2026. Now, as we know, the bond market will set the price of, or the yields of bonds based upon the default risk. So the higher the yields, the higher the default risk, that the market is essentially saying, hey, if we're gonna buy your bonds and we're gonna give you money, you gotta pay us this amount. So the Coinbase bonds with maturity of 2026 is yielding 20%, and they're trading at 50 cents on the dollar. I mean, do I need to say anything else? Guys, Coinbase 2026 maturity bonds, they're trading at 50 cents on the dollar, and they're yielding 20%. Now, that is like the junkiest of the junk, bottom of the barrel junk bonds. So I think, Coinbase, we were talking about this, I think we were talking about like a month ago now. I'd say any rally in Coinbase, I would load the boat and pound this thing into the ground. And I don't short stocks, but if I did, I would hammer that one. And down 8% again today. I think it's down like, another 40% since we've talked about it. And the bond market is a leading indicator. It's saying, hey, something is wrong here. So I just wanted to say that. Now, it's not to say that Coinbase can't bounce and go up and it'll become a great company again. But now I just think the risk is too big. I think the risk is too big. I think we may have to make a move down another street here. Let's take a pit stop at the French investment bank, BNP Paribas, because I have to put the battery pack in. Hey, Dan Zhang, what's up? Good to see you, Dan. This is the French investment bank, BNP Paribas. Yeah, two-wheel freedom makes a very good statement there. It says, Tom, not your keys, not your crypto. Put it in cold storage or it's over. Yeah, I mean, that has been one of my main points. It's like the only value proposition that I see with a Bitcoin, like literally the only one, is that it's unconfiscatable money. So if you leave that on the exchange, you sort of invalidate the one value proposition that it may have, which I guess is maybe perhaps a bit strange. All right, team, excuse me for a moment. I do apologize. I have to put you down. Allow me one moment. Okay, I think we're good, right? Hey, Chris is here. What's up, Chris? Hope you're well. Hope you had a good holiday. Guten Dunkel says, hey, Tom, isn't Mary Jane legal in New York City? It's actually a really good question. I think it may be, right? Now, I'm actually really curious about this. I think that marijuana is legal starting tomorrow in New York. Is that correct? Or legal for sales? Could anybody, maybe New Yorkers in the chat, chime in? Dan Zhang, somebody? I think it is. I think you make a good point. Just in time for New Year's. I just realized that. Michael Joseph says, yes, it's legal. Will M says it absolutely is, Tom. Has been already for possession. Yes, so I know that, but I think I'm talking about sales. I think the sales of it is legal now. Best Bets TV says it's 100% legal in New York. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, my take on that, I've sort of done a 180 on that. I used to be very, very much against it, like very passionately against it. But I've said this before, I'll give you guys a very interesting professor to look up. Oh, look at this. I think that's an Islanders jersey, right? So there's a really brilliant professor that teaches at Columbia University. His name is Professor or Dr. Professor Carl Hart. Really just a brilliant guy. And we studied him in college in one of my classes. I think it was a criminology class, perhaps. For those of you who don't know, I went to a criminal justice school, so we studied a lot about drugs, and I mean, obviously. So, but we're running a little bit over time on the stream, but I'll leave you off with that. I'll take you guys back to Penn, but check out Dr. Carl Hart, and really changed my perspective about many drugs in general. Really smart guy. All right, West 50th Street, headed downtown. Hopefully we don't start buffering here. Trying to avoid the crowds as best I can. Oh, they drained the fountain. Wow. Oh, Nina, very cool. You study criminal law? Very nice. Now, Adele's Famous isn't here anymore. I don't know why. Maybe they drained it to take down the ornaments, maybe? Hey, Real Talk New York. Good to see you. This is Hey Tom. How's it going? It's going really good. I hope you're well. Hope you had a good holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Hopefully it was fantastic. Wishing you a very happy New Year as well. Now, here's the positive thing. I just got to quickly point out this steakhouse, Del Frisco's, fantastic. Been there many times. Good place to take clients. Now, this bomb cyclone thing is just sick. The good news is it's probably going to get back into the 40s by New Year's Eve, but this is crazy. I've never experienced this cold in New York this early ever. Now, I think we set a record in the city, in Manhattan at least. Wow, look at the inside of this place. I think we set a record for the coldest Christmas Eve ever, or at least in the last 150 years. But supposedly it's going to warm up, thank God. Because it is way too cold. Hey, T, this is how much do you pay per month for Wework? So I pay $2.99. And I'll tell you what that includes because there are some misconceptions here. So there's a couple different things that you could do for Wework specifically. The first of which is you could pay the $2.99, right? And that gives you access to every single Wework location, not only in the United States, but all over the world, as well as some of the locations that are open 24 hours. However, you have access to the community space, which means it's a co-working space. Like, you can't leave your stuff there overnight. You don't have a dedicated desk. If you want, you can rent a dedicated office space, like a cubicle, but obviously that's only in one location that you pick, and that could run about $800 to $1,200. Like, for example, I was looking at one, and I was about to do it, by the way. Thank God I didn't do it. I was about to pay $1,200 for a place in the Brickell City Center, but I would have my own cubicle. But I travel so much, it would have been a big waste of money. So if you're a person that is on a lot of conference calls, like I am, it's a little bit difficult to work in the Wework office if you can't duck into one of the phone booths really quick. But in Manhattan, it's been so dead that I haven't had a problem. I've had pretty much the whole office to myself every day for the last 6 months, and it's been great. All right, let's now, last night I saw the 2023 numerals lit up. I think they're up there tonight, but they're just not lit up, I think. I think so. Let me see. Yeah, check out One Times Square. You could see the 2023 numerals there, but it's just not lit up. So we'll have to save that for New Year's Eve. Yeah, Two-Wheel Freedom says that's the cause of the mysterious 14% drop. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Wework does it. I mean, $299 to have access to every single office building in the world, 24/7, 365. I mean, that's an unbelievable steal. Like, I don't know. It's just too much of a good deal. That's easily worth $1,000, easily. I think they underpriced that like crazy. So here they are setting up for the New Year's Eve. Hey, Tailwind 77's Tom, I'm in the Buffalo area. It's been scary, but people have been helping each other a lot. Tailwind, God bless you, man. I've been watching it on the news and on Twitter. I can't even almost believe it. You guys have been just getting hammered with snow, wind, ice. I mean, please stay safe, man. And reach out to any of us on the Discord if you need help in any way. We'll try. But it's almost been an unbelievable storm up there in Buffalo, New York. I think you guys got 90 inches of snow. I don't even know how you could operate in that. And as I said at the beginning of the live stream, I think the death toll is up to 50 people, if you can even believe that. It's such a horror, tragedy. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. From a snowstorm, 50 people died? It's insane. It's just insane. These are the main red steps here. Tailwind says, Tom, we've been without power for 2 days, but we are okay. I mean, how are you staying warm? Do you have, I'd assume a wood-burning fireplace maybe? I know, Sam Morgano says it hit during the worst possible time, Christmas Eve rush hour traffic. Like, what are the odds of that? It's insane. Dusty Coles is wood stove here in Virginia. Love that. All right, so 2023, welcome 23 to Times Square. Numeral arrival, New Year's Eve, 2023. All right, let's try to navigate the tourists here in Times Square.
So we're going to turn on the next street on 148.
So I'm assuming this is where all of the live performances will be. Looks like they're setting it up right here. T.O. says, have you ever done Times Square New Year's Eve? I actually used to work right here at the Express when I was a teenager turning 20 years old. And the funny thing is, about a week to a week and a half after New Year's Eve, the stores are literally flooded with all the confetti. There's so much, it gets everywhere. You'll see it. All right, but we have to continue to head down here because I got to get the train. So we are well into Walk Some Wall Street after hour territory.
Guys, Comedy Central.
Hey, Sabrina Fair, what's up? Good to see you. Will Emps, Tom, if you live in a northern state, always be prepared to be stuck in your car. Keep some good boots and gloves, blankets, etc. Yeah, agreed. 100%. You should always have extra blankets and hats. Even, in general, a change of clothes in your car. Because you never know. You could get stuck. Your battery could die, be without power.
You didn't see him over here, right?
I guess this is kind of cool to see them setting everything up. Speaking of T-Mobile, we did a whole segment about T-Mobile. I guess this is their retail store here. I think after seeing all of this craziness with the snowstorm, I think I'm gonna order like a ton of those MREs for my place down in Miami, because you never know. I mean, look, you know, after the hurricanes, it's not like you're gonna freeze to death, but it's pretty uncomfortable if you don't have any air conditioning, right, in 90-degree heat. So I think I'm gonna do a little bit more prep work, to be honest. You never know. I mean, natural disasters come up quite unexpected.
Last class.
Got the NYPD. One of the things I don't like, though, is all the barricades. It sort of like corrals all the people within one another. Yeah, Vivian Francesca's always have water. Well, here's what I did so far. I have like there's an extension of my house that you really can't live in. It's technically is an extension, but it's not like livable, if that makes sense. And I went to Home Depot and bought 3 of those big 5-gallon buckets. So if there's a hurricane coming, I fill up those big buckets with fresh water. So, you know, God forbid if the power's out, if the water goes out for a week, you know, at least you'll have some fresh water stored in the buckets. People say you're supposed to fill up the bathtub, but I don't have any bathtubs in my house. Yeah, NMAXs, you have to at least have a small generator as well. Yeah, I have one of those Generac generators. So I do have that. But I mean, knock on wood, you know, Miami, for whatever reason, I don't know, the hurricanes have been missing us. They've been really doing a lot of damage on the west coast of the state, which is horrible. I think this was arguably one of the worst hurricane seasons that the state of Florida has had. I mean, talk about total horrible decimation of Fort Myers, Florida, parts of Tampa. You just got to be prepared. Oh, look at this tractor trailer with the 2 Santa Claus guys. I know, Twitch ASMR. I just jinxed it. Please, God, I hope no hurricanes, but... Kaylee says, don't forget the flashlights as well. Yeah, I have a couple of these solar-powered flashlights. I guess we'll cross since none of those guys want to go. This is a Squawk Box right here at the NASDAQ. So sometimes you'll see Andrew Ross Sorkin sitting right here, one of the famous journalists. CNBC. All right, we got to pick up the pace a little bit, guys. But look, I think we had good conversations tonight. We covered a lot. We talked about housing. We talked about the bond market. We talked about Apple specifically. Covered a lot. But now it's time to head home. 42nd Street, Broadway. Here we are. All the way down here, you have the Bank of America Tower and then the Bryant Park Winter Village. Wow, Dan, crazy. Ah, Kylie, copy that, 10-4. Now, this is all brand new. Well, I shouldn't say new, but there's no scaffolding here anymore. This used to be totally encased with the horrible scaffolding. Now, I think the worst performing stock in the Dow was Salesforce. We're walking behind the Salesforce Tower. This is West 41st Street. Broadway, we're going to be headed to 34th Street, 7th Avenue. That is when we'll cut loose for the day. Hey, Thomas Fuentes is here. Good to see you. Doctor says, hey Tom, are people back to the offices in Manhattan before COVID? No, I mean, in my view, no, to be quite honest. It's nothing like it used to be. And we talked about that briefly in the stream too. We had a good conversation about, Wework's, a lot of the corporate office towers having record high vacancies just because people are working in a hybrid environment, right? I mean, if you think about it, I think it was Deborah, maybe, who posted in the chat that the MTA is actually going to be reducing service. Hold on, let me avoid this guy. Now, I think it was Deborah that said the MTA may be suspending service on Mondays and Fridays just because the ridership is down. Is that how I say that? Ridership? I feel like that's wrong. Ridership? Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I've been working in Manhattan for my entire professional life, and it used to be, I can't even describe how crowded it was, in Midtown Manhattan on 45th Street, 6th Avenue at 2 o'clock, when you would go to get a coffee with your coworkers. It used to be crazy. It's not really like that anymore. Some days it's kind of like that, but most days it's not like a ghost town, but it's, if I'm being 100% honest, it's really not like it used to be. Dan Zangs, Tom, have you ever tried Lady M's cake? I have not. Where is that? Now, Dan, there's an interesting coffee shop here. We're about to pass it. Have you tried this? I haven't tried it yet. I think it's called 10,000 or something. It looks kind of interesting on the inside. Wow, there's 1,776 people watching. Oh no, 1,100. That's insane. Yeah, on this new streaming software, I can't really see how many people are watching at a time. It only shows me like once every 30 minutes. That's insanity. I appreciate it. Hopefully you all are enjoying the live stream tonight as we approach 2023. It's going to be a great year. I also wanted to try this restaurant. It just looks interesting to me. Mr. Broadway Kosher Restaurant. It's always busy in here at night. I mean, during the day. I want to try it. Sabrina Ferris is kosher. Yeah, it says it on the window there. And every time I walk past it during lunch hour, it's always packed. There's always a line. Dan says, Tom, I wouldn't mind to do a food stream with you in Flushing one day. I'll be your tour guide. I love Flushing, man. Now, I think I told you guys this story a million times, but one of my former coworkers, he was telling me a story. He said he was one of the original Asian families in Flushing. Now, back in the day, New York City neighborhoods change all the time. Now, Flushing Main Street right now is one of, or if not the largest, it's a bigger Chinatown than the Chinatown in Manhattan. The place is amazing. And my friend, he's Taiwanese. And the first time I've really been to Flushing is when we would go on appointments, and after all our appointments, after we'd close deals, he would take me to Flushing. We would eat all this amazing stuff. And he was in Flushing growing up when there was a lot of Irish, Italians, when it really wasn't a Chinatown. So imagine living there and seeing the neighborhood transform. That's really cool. And I think neighborhoods in New York are always adapting, right? Always changing. But yeah, Flushing Main Street, if anybody's watching the stream, maybe you're new to New York, take a trip out to Flushing. The easiest way to do that, this is Macy's Herald Square. Easiest way to do that, jump on the 7 train and just never get off. Take it to the last stop, Flushing Main Street. You'll have a really good time. You'll eat a lot of really good food. It's awesome. I know, Dan Zhang says if you bought property there in Flushing decades ago, you would have made a crazy amount of money. Agreed. Check out the Empire State Building. Tony. Hilarious. Oh my gosh, guys, we're going on a 3-hour stream again. Jeez. I think since the temperatures have been going up, I've been losing my perception of time. Now we're headed towards Pennsylvania Station, Penn Station. And we will cut you guys loose here. Now, once again, everybody, thank you for joining Walks on Wall Street again tonight. We've had amazing conversations. Please take a look at the Case Shiller home price report. If you type !Case Shiller in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link. If you enjoyed the live stream, feel free to hit the like button. Tap the subscribe button if you're new for more financial walks and talks. And We will see you guys in the next one, 8:30. God bless all of you. British Gray, Teresa Diaz, Fred X, Alex G, thank you so much for joining tonight. Will M, thank you. Out and about, my friend from Canada, good to see you. Touring different places, Abdullah, Camphor, Tom G, Hawaii, DWG, Denise, Richard Vogel, Joan K, Fixed Image, Joe Driver, Dan Zhang, Sunshine After Rain, GGMYC, Abdullah, photos from around New York, Susanna Q4, Wendy England, into the Mighty Bull. Have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Keep your eye on Apple tomorrow, and also keep your eye on that 10-year US Treasury. I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now. Oh, the phone is frozen again.